I am beyond furious. How dare they think they can continue to let this happen? How many more innocent lives have to be taken before something is done? 3 mass shootings in just 8 days in California, and the death toll continues to rise. This is not just a California problem, this is an American problem, and it's time for action. Governor Gavin Newsom spoke of his fatigue and frustration with mass shootings, saying, "I can't keep doing them, and it's insane." But yet here we are, with the worst massacre in Los Angeles County history, and just hours later, a mass shooting at the other end of the state. 7 innocent lives taken at mushroom farms in a scenic coastal stretch of Northern California, while the people of Monterey Park were still grieving the loss of 11 lives at a dance studio. It's not just California that has a problem with mass shootings, it's a nationwide issue. California has the highest number of fatal mass shootings, 49, including the recent 3, and it had ranked 31st beforehand when adjusted for being the nation's most populous state with nearly 40 million residents. However, when it comes to mass shootings per capita, California is now ranked 26th in the United States since 2006 according to a USA Today/AP/Northeastern University mass killing database. The database only counts killings of at least 4 people. And what about the question that often goes unanswered in the face of senseless violence? Why? Why did this happen? Why did a 72-year-old man become a madman and shoot up a dance hall popular with older Asian Americans? Why did a 66-year-old farm worker become a killer and take the lives of 7 innocent people at a mushroom farm? These are the questions that detectives at both ends of the state are trying to answer. But it's not just about answering these questions, it's about taking action to prevent these senseless acts of violence from happening in the first place. We need to do everything in our power to make sure something like this never happens again. And let's not forget about the victims and their families who are left to grieve and make sense of the unimaginable. Mounds of flowers, including dozens of yellow and white mums, were left in front of the dance studio's closed gates. On a brick column next to the gates, someone taped a piece of blue paper with the typed "banned semi-automatic rifles" and below it a translation in Chinese. This is the reality of the situation. People are calling for action, for change. And yet, we're still left with the reality that the shooter in Half Moon Bay, 66-year-old Chun-Li Zhao, was accused of threatening to split a co-worker's head open with a knife and separately tried to suffocate the man with a pillow 10 years ago. This is not a new problem, it's a pattern of behavior. And yet, no action was taken to prevent this senseless act of violence. And the same goes for 72-year-old Hugh Contran, the shooter in Monterey Park. He was once arrested for unlawful possession of a firearm in 1990 and had a limited criminal history. But even with a history of violence and disregard for the law, he was still able to obtain the weapons and ammunition used in this massacre. California has some of the toughest gun laws in the country, including strict background checks, a 10-day waiting period for firearm purchases, and a ban on certain types of assault weapons. Despite these laws, the state has still seen a number of mass shootings in recent years. One reason for this may be that California's laws do not address all potential sources of gun violence. For example, while the state has strict laws on purchasing firearms, it does not have laws in place to prevent the sale of firearms at gun shows or over the internet. Additionally, California's laws do not address the issue of guns that are already in circulation, such as those that were purchased before the state's current laws went into effect. Furthermore, California's laws also don't address the issue of mental illness and its relation to gun violence. California has a red flag law that allows family members or law enforcement to petition a court to remove firearms from someone who poses a danger to themselves or others, but it is not being implemented as it should be. Another reason for the high number of mass shootings in California may be the state's large population. With nearly 40 million residents, California has a higher potential for mass shootings to occur simply due to the sheer number of people living in the state. In addition, California's high number of mass shootings may also be due to the state's diverse population and varied socioeconomic conditions. California is home to a number of diverse communities, including large Asian American and Latino populations, which may be more vulnerable to hate crimes and other forms of violence. Additionally, The state's large agricultural industry and rural areas may also contribute to a higher potential for workplace violence. Despite the high number of mass shootings in California, the state still has a relatively low gun death rate compared to other states. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, California has the 7th lowest gun mortality rate in the country per 100,000 residents, based on the most recent statistics available from 2020.